It's time for us to take you through this wonderful session that we have put together with you with the powerhouse of talent on the call. I'll just quickly introduce ourselves before we move on to the actual content and the subject of the session. We have Krishna Srinivasan. He's the SAP champion running the regional sales for SAP on GCP based out of Singapore, a good old friend of mine. Another very close friend of mine, Mr. Tariq Hussain. He's the vice president for global SNP sales representing SNP, the data transformation and S4HANA company, and myself, who's responsible for the SAP business at Cloud4C, Cloud4C being a managed services company, particularly in the space of SAP. Uh, the session is about how we take you to S4HANA with the three key tri-party agreement that we have between Google, SNP, and Cloud4C. Uh, I've been working with SAP before this role for the last 15 years, responsible for go-to-market and sales functions for the HANA Enterprise Cloud. Uh, Cloud4C was a very, very prestigious partner for us back then, and it's because of Cloud4C that we have been able to achieve so much success in the SAP days. Um, I was so fascinated with the company. I decided to join the company, and here I am running the SAP business and trying to bring the best of the breed together in order to fast track customers in their S4 HANA transformation journeys. Uh, a quick overview of Cloud4C. Cloud4C is a pure cloud native organization which is driven purely by automation platform. We have invested a lot of dollars and cents in creating an automation platform which allows us to reduce the cost of operations, particularly in the managed services space and in the migration space, and pass on that dividend to its customers, not only in terms of money, but also in terms of time to value. Just a brief about some of the success stories and some of the customer base that we have. We have approximately 4,000. Sorry, the slides are moving. I don't know why. I'll go back. Yeah. Yeah, just a brief about this. We have got around 4,000 odd customers with us, and our track record with the customers has been quite phenomenal. We end up having customers for life kind of an approach. Uh, Generally, what we have seen is if the customer is onboarded with us, we tend to retain for the longest period of the time. 60 of the Fortune 500 companies are closely associated with us in various stages of their digital transformation journeys. Three of the top five banks, two of the top five manufacturers, car manufacturers, media companies, pharma companies. Some of the largest hyperscalers are also working with us very closely, both in terms of partnership and as customers as well. Uh, I'll just move on. Yeah. This is a global footprint. We are present in 25 countries. We have got a very, very significant presence in the Asia Pacific region. The company is headquartered in Singapore, and we've got offices all around Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Korea, India, and the subcontinent, along with our very, very strong presence in Middle East, including Europe, North America, as well as South America. We have private cloud pods in all these countries with a primary and a secondary, but we also have a very, very strong go-to-market along with the Google Cloud platform. One of the important things in terms of cloud deployment is the compliance, and we take it very seriously. Some of the customers that we have acquired over the last 6 to 7 years is purely based on our investments into various kinds of country compliance, whether it is data compliance, whether it is government regulations, or any sorts of industry-specific compliance. One of the classic examples is Australia, where some of the largest public sector accounts are running on our platform. It required a few $1 million of investments to get ourselves certified by IRAP. We are not only IRAP protected certified, but also IRAP classified certified, which really is a very deep dive analysis of the processes that we, run in our organization and whether they're in tune to the country regulations or not. Similarly, we have been constantly looking forward to make sure that we make our customers comfortable to consider us as a partner of choice in their cloud management and cloud transformation initiatives. Now, I think coming to the main point of the session is the challenges that we face when our customers are interacting with us and they give us a very honest and an open feedback in terms of adopting the latest SAP offering, which is the S4 HANA. I think there is a desire in every single SAP account to move to S4 HANA, but there is a lot of confusion on the ground as well, a lot of apprehensions on the ground as well. And part of the reason that we see is there are a lot of interesting system integrators, cloud service providers, and other service providers. And sometimes it becomes very difficult for customers to take an optimal choice in terms of how to proceed, starting with the right cloud platform, which is the cloud platform that they are supposed to choose. I'm sure there are many cloud platforms available in the market, as you're aware, but which is the right one? What is the value proposition? Why do we have to choose one particular cloud platform to the other? Uh, the other second point challenge which we see is the cloud readiness. Whether your applications are ready to be deployed on cloud is another fundamental question that needs to be answered. And that really drives the strategy of the transition towards the cloud. It could be a big bang approach. It could be a mid-term, short-term, long-term kind of an approach where matured applications which can sustain a kind of cloud environment can be moved quickly, and the S4 HANAs of the world can take its own sweet time while they're still on ECC. So that decision making is obviously very difficult in that space as well. Multiple vendors, yeah, I mean there are multiple vendors in a transformation journey. It could be a cloud platform decision, it could be a data service organization decision, it could be a pure migration factory kind of a decision, it could be industry and domain expertise, and there are very niche players in the market which bring all these skills together. uh, so we believe this is another kind of a deciding factor and an influencing factor in terms of taking a cloud transformation journey. Security again becomes a very critical aspect of it, because along with the whole data security aspect of it, there are infrastructure security related concerns that needs to be addressed. There are application security concerns that needs to be addressed. There are country and continent specific security concerns that needs to be addressed, and that's where the compliance comes into issue. This is exactly where we feel that this whole combination of Cloud4C, Google, and SNP in a very single and a unified manner can really provide the right level of guidance and provide a faster, seamless, and a cost-effective transition to S4 HANA Cloud. There are various elements that come into play when we try to engage with customers in a fashion of a consulting service or an advisory service, which is absolutely free of cost. We get into the analysis of not only their current deployments but also their futuristic roadmap with regards to not only moving an ECC to S4 HANA, but really looking at the industry processes, the modules, the function modules. Uh, as we know that SAP comes along with various plethora of solutions, which allows them specifically when they are trying to migrate from ECC to S4, that could be a very important deciding factor in terms of not only modernizing the infrastructure and the data, but also modernizing the applications. And that is really the crux of the matter, because ultimately it's really important to use the right SAP solution set for the right set of business process. In the ECC world, it was slightly different, but in the new S4 HANA and the digital core, as well as the industry cloud strategy, along with the RISE initiative, all these things are becoming extremely important. Hence, the right set of data needs to be transformed into the new S4 HANA instance, and that's where companies like SNP can be extremely beneficial. Automation is another aspect of it. uh, you know when you move to S4 HANA, it's not only about migration to S4 HANA, but also about managing the business processes, making sure that the right departments and the business processes within within individual customer departments are looked into, and we provide the right level of automation service in that space, which again reduces the number of incidents being raised at the end of the migration journey, which again translates into less number of resources supporting a particular S/4HANA instance. So some of the parameters which are mentioned on the slide, and I'm sure you'll get these slides at the end of the session, but these are the broad areas in which we come together and try to help you out. Um, so this is the packaged approach, and this is the solution that we have been kind of mastering in the last couple of years, which we call as an SAP switch to cloud. This is a pure service where we are offering the S/4HANA transformation journeys kind of service, which could be an S greenfield implementations, a brownfield implementation, or rather keeping ourselves away from a greenfield and a brownfield approach, but really the right set of implementation, which could be in the form of a blue field in the SNP terminology, uh, including all lines of businesses beyond S/4HANA. So, for instance, a central finance, a supply chain transformation, a procurement transformation, etc. Clubbing it along with the industry-based application management services, clubbing it along with the Google Cloud Platform based cloud managed services and basis operations. All this as a service at a no capex approach using the best of the breed solutions and the tool sets. Some of them are proprietary tool sets of Cloud4C, some of them are coming from SNP and Google, and some of them are SAP specific tools around which we have created an automation factory. And we use this whole tool set to drive this whole switch to cloud transformation, looking into all three elements once again: the S4 HANA and the likes of application transformation, the application management services, along with the Google Cloud Platform based cloud managed services. With this, I would like to hand it over to Krishna. Krishna will take you through the journey of Google Cloud and why Google Cloud is important and the credentials that Google Cloud has established over the last so many years. Krishna, over to you.
Thank you, Asim. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. As Asim said, my name is Krishna Srinivasan. I'm from Google Cloud. Firstly, thank you very much for taking the time for being here with us today. It's great to be here, and thanks to my fellow presenters and the wider team that's come together to put this show together for you. As Azim said, just before I walk into my session, I think the aim of this session is to make this cloud journey for many of our SAP ECC customers really, really simple. And that's where the power of SNP, Google Cloud, and Cloud4C comes together and helps you make those simple decisions and move them risk-free with no CAPEX. Okay, before I go into why Google Cloud for SAP, I'll probably take a couple of minutes to talk about history of Google and how Google came into Google Cloud and so on. So Google, as you know, is part of the wider group called Alphabet, which owns several companies under the Alphabet umbrella: Google, YouTube, Waze, Verily, Waymo, Google Cloud, and so on. As you know, Google is a digital native that was very much born in the cloud back in the days. And today, we have over 9 products like the Google Search, the YouTube, the Maps, Photos, which has over 1 billion users each. And so Google really pioneered in how to build these large-scale applications in the cloud to be able to serve that amount of users with minimal disruption. And in many ways, if you look at Google Cloud kind of externalizes some of these capabilities for our customers to benefit and take benefit out of in their digital transformation, right? So today, I primarily focus on why Google Cloud for SAP. And I'd like to put this in 3 different ways, right? One is the smart infrastructure, hyper intelligence, which is primarily about unlocking SAP data and using SAP data with additional data sources in terms of understanding your customer better, or understanding your process better, or driving more supply chain visibility or inventory visibility, and so on. And last is, it's not, it's stable stakes today to be able to run SAP in the cloud, but beyond that, how do you drive value, right? Okay, so smart infrastructure, right? Coupled with SNP and Cloud4C, we talked about the ability to automate and upgrade in weeks, not in months, right? And if you look at some of the fundamental differentiators we have is our, the network, right? So we have approximately 24 regions across the globe, and each of these regions have three zones inside each of them, right? And all of these regions across the world are actually connected by our own network and backbone. So industry experts say this is one of the largest network there exists in the world, and we own subsea ship laying cables, and we lay these cables on our own, right? So what does this mean to you? It means that you actually, all of your network traffic actually travels on our network, which is highly secure, low latency, and high performance, right? And not only that, all of the data that's actually going on our network is fully encrypted, both at rest and in transit, right? Typically, you would see other cloud providers using the public internet a little bit, which the industry calls it a hot potato routing. But whereas in Google Cloud, you're fully on our backbone, and therefore you've got much better user performance, much better security, much better reliability, and far greater lower latency, right? The second value proposition from a smart infrastructure perspective is grow as the business needs, right? So if you look at our infrastructure fleet for HANA in particular, all of our HANA fleet is fully virtualized, all the way up to 12 terabytes, right? So what does this mean is, the age-old game of sizing for 3 years and 5 years often turns out to be a good or a bad surprise depending on your data growth, right? And sizing historically has been a rules-based mechanism. You do a whole bunch of arithmetic and you come up with a sizing for 3 years and you stick with it. Whereas with Google, you can literally come where you are today and grow as you need to, right? And this kind of not only lowers your TCO, but also gives you far greater flexibility in terms of how you want to deploy your SAP. And then the last one, which is extremely unique, and it is probably the industry leading one, right? So typically when you look at SAP Cloud and SAP in the cloud or SAP in hosting, the SLAs normally cover unplanned downtime, right? Not the planned downtime. And typically you will actually see in most cloud platforms, they will actually notify you that there's going to be a planned downtime and you may have to move your system, or you may have to shut down your SAP system, etc. The unique thing about Google Cloud is you will see none of that, right? We have a proprietary technology called live migration, where we will live migrate your running SAP transparently to the user, to another machine or to another host in our fleet. And this is available across our entire fleet. And this is a standard feature that we offer to most our customers. Now, what's unique about it? If you think about it, SAP is not run in one VM, right? And SAP has an application service, has many application servers, has probably a HA landscape, has a DR landscape, and upstream and downstream system connected to it. So if in a business context, if SAP needs to come down for an infrastructure host maintenance, all of these systems need to know and be able to handle that gracefully, right? And that is where this live migration actually saves a lot for our customers, and actually reducing downtime means reducing business impact. So this is very, very unique for us. And a lot of our customers are, I'll talk through some of the case studies later, and we will see a lot of customers actually see a lot of benefit out of that. I've had the pleasure of working with a number of customers in our region in APAC, and people really see value in this. And lastly, as I talked before, it's being able to run SAP in the cloud is kind of table stakes today. But what do you do beyond that, right? And that's where the whole innovation story, bringing the best of Google across industries, across various other, being able to rejuvenate some of your business processes really accentuates the value. A couple of key case studies here. Cardinal Health, one of the leading healthcare providers, migrated over 300 of their on-premise servers. They run their SAP completely on Google Cloud today. They have one of the largest 12 terabyte HANA VMs on a scale-up S4HANA system running on Google Cloud. Not only have they reduced their infrastructure cost by 25%, but they've also been able to respond to their business needs way better than before. And, of course, they're tapping into our advanced AI and ML technologies, which sits on top of our enterprise data warehouse offering called the BigQuery, to drive more business efficiencies across various different value chains, right? Metro is one of the largest retailers in Germany. They're distributor come retailer. Metro operates in over 35 countries, and they actually have 100 over SAP systems deployed in each of those countries they operate in. Now, Metro 2 years ago decided to go S/4HANA, and they wanted to go one single S/4HANA system, consolidated, serving all of those 35 countries, right? And if you think about it, the reason why they've had these disparate SAP systems serving multiple countries and with in-country deployment is because they want to be close to the user so that the system performs, etc. Right? Whereas what they've done with Google Cloud is they've gone in one single instance, which is in one central region. Right? Again, the power of the network really comes to the fore here, where all of those users sitting across multiple countries actually log into one single S/4HANA system, which is actually deployed in one single region. And not only that, we talked about live migration earlier. Look at the reduced number of outages. Again, it not only just being able to run SAP in the cloud, but being able to run SAP in the cloud a whole lot differently, right? Yeah, the other case study, which is probably worth talking about, is the PayPal story. PayPal runs S/4HANA and FPSL, right? FPSL is a SAP financial services solution, which is financial product subledger system, which is actually quite, which demands quite high volumes of data and therefore generally demands much higher sizes of HANA. So Google Cloud and SAP came together to solve this problem for PayPal. And today they are on a 96 terabyte scale out S/4HANA. And this is the largest scale out S4 deployment on the planet, as we know. Again, reinforcing the message that Google Cloud and SAP collaborates even at an engineering level to be able to drive value along with SNP and Cloud4C. And that's the power of this partnership, right? Now, if we move to the hyper-intelligence story, over and above the smart infrastructure. So one is to be able to definitely move SAP to the cloud, migrate them successfully. Both SNP, Cloud4C, and Google Cloud will be able to do that seamlessly for you and make it a lot simpler with no risk. Now, the next is to be able to drive value from a platform side, right? Where you can actually take advantage of some of our ecosystem of services that exists in Google Cloud. So it's a well-kept secret, but I'm going to reveal it today. HANA has native integration with Google BigQuery, right? Both ways. So BigQuery, HANA can extract or extract data from BigQuery using the Smart Data Access, which is a component on HANA. Alternatively, there are tools available in the marketplace for us to be able to extract SAP HANA data into Google BigQuery, right? This really unlocks the value of the enterprise data that's normally stored within the four walls of the company. What does this mean to you is you can bring multiple data sources, particularly in the industries of, like, let's say retail, for example, where you want to do advanced assortment planning, where you've done the assortment planning in the SAP retail system, and you want to see what the trends data are, what are customers in various demography searching for, and match that data against the SAP data to be able to drive more penetration and more upsell into your marketplace. So that also optimizes your inventory because you're not now shipping products that are, that are not sold in those demographies, right? On top of that, you're able to use the Google machine learning building blocks. And this is where the power of Google really comes to the fore again. Google ML has something called AutoML, which sits on top of BQ. And this can actually automatically, with no line of code, automatically explore all of the data sets to be able to find targets that we can use, be it understanding customer better, be it driving efficiency in inventory, or even in your supply chain and logistics, right? And one such example is Home Depot. So just to give you some background on Home Depot, Home Depot is one of the largest home improvement stores in the US. Now, the average floor size for Home Depot is about hundreds of thousands of square feet. And they have large brick and mortar presence across various states in America. Now, very often, I'm sure we've all gone through this, right? We quickly check on the internet and we see that Home Depot has a particular screw or a nut that we are after, that we need to fix in our house, and we see that there is inventory in a store very near to us, and we quickly go there, right? And that was happening in the US as well. And a lot of customers, when they went to the store, they couldn't find the part in the aisle that it's supposed to be. And the reason is the number of sales support staff that was manning these floors were quite limited. So when customers come and look for various parts, they generally try to misplace it, right? They tend to put it in an aisle adjacent to the original aisle, or they get displaced accidentally. So when the next customer comes in looking for this particular SKU, they were not able to identify it. So the CEO set out a vision to say, shelf out does not mean stock out, because this is starting to result in some of their loss, right? Business loss and sales loss. So they actually wanted to fix this problem. So they turned to Google. Of course, they run their SAP on Google Cloud, but they turned to Google Cloud to actually see how they can solve this problem. So Google Cloud and Home Depot engineers came together, got some of the SAP inventory data, and brought other sets of data sources that they had around customer feedback of not finding the SKU, and started applying machine learning. And in fact, to this day, they've actually solved the problem. So basically what they do is they built an app that would notify their sales representatives on what could have potentially been displaced, so they can go and check and ensure that it's actually in place for customers to find it quite easily. Again, this is not just about running SAP in the cloud, it's actually taking one step further and going and solving their customer problems, right? Which is driving true outcome and impact for our customers from a business point of view. Yeah, just adding on to that. Today, we have a number of customers who are running on Google Cloud, not only leverage the BQ aspect of it, but actually expose some of the SAP native capabilities via APIs to other aspects of their business. We see a lot of customers actually start up, some of the more digital initiatives, and exposing some of the SAP data within their ecosystem is actually super useful, be it vendor or suppliers, that's where Apigee, one of our API management product, comes into the fore, where customers tap into Apigee to actually be able to expand and expose SAP information to their vendors or suppliers seamlessly, right? And then we talked about BigQuery, where you can actually do dynamic tiering, federated queries via the smart data access that exists on SAP HANA, or just use other tooling to actually bring, to build a broader data lake on BQ, which serves as the enterprise data warehouse, right? The unique thing about BQ here is that BQ actually separates in compute and storage, right? Which basically means that gone are the days when, you had a BI team that had to build a whole bunch of reports that used to cache a ton of data between the data warehouse and the reporting layer, and all of that is gone. Essentially, when you send a query, when BQ realizes that this is going to be retrieving a ton of data, it can dynamically allocate more compute power, and that way you, as an IT owner, can completely democratize data within your business users, right? They no longer need to be constrained by the reports that were built yesterday or last week. They can actually access real-time data in BQ using any BI tool that exists today. The third is obviously the pillar of understanding your customer, right? That's where, Google's data, anonymized customer data, demographic data, your other data sources like social media platform data, which is again anonymized, can really help you understand your customer better and to be able to have much closer engagement with your customer. And lastly, we have a few products that our partners have built, including Cloud4C and SNP, where we can automate some of the business processes using some of our native machine learning technology. And it's also interesting to note that TensorFlow, which is kind of open source today, was originally a Google's product, where we actually pioneered the first ML algos, which was productized later and even serves under the hood of SAP Cloud Platform, like speech to text, vision APIs, etc. And beyond all that, now we've realized that the data-driven digital transformation is kind of being top of mind for many of our customers, right? And so we are actually rejuvenating some of the business processes and actually solving industry-specific problems, particularly like anti-money laundering, knowing your customer in the financial sector, AI recommendation engine, which is about product recommendations in the retail, and media distribution capabilities in the media, and a lot more around visual inspection, particularly in, in the raw material procurement and the finished goods inspection in the manufacturing sector. And above all that, we also have other Google assets like, you know, the Google Analytics, the Google Assistant, the Android, and all of the other products that we serve our customers with to be able to drive more business value to you. And, you know, the three-way partnership that Asim talked about earlier, the SNP, Google Cloud, and Cloud4C can bring all of this to drive way more business impact and value, just moving SAP to Google Cloud and partnering with SNP and Cloud4C. Well, yes. So if you look at the infrastructure today, right, in the overall scheme of TCO for SAP, roughly about 6 to 10% is the infra cost. That's just table stakes today. The real value over time comes when you start driving business insights, faster innovations, and really work on changing the landscape, not only about SAP, but beyond, right? And that's where being able to not just upgrade and run, of course, you can, you know, there's a lot more savings coming in the HADR space by compressing, using our VPC network, reducing downtime and so on. But being able to drive business impact, right, at the top end with innovation really seems to be differentiating Google Cloud over the other cloud providers in the market. And we're seeing some you know, really great success and momentum in the market with our customers wanting to adopt our platform primarily from that perspective as well. Some of our friends in the analyst world, like the Forresters and the IDC, wanted to really study this, and they worked with Forrester worked with about 6 customers who recently moved to Google Cloud. And some of the key findings were, you know, the payback of doing such a migration was less than 6 months, and the average 3-year ROI, was 160%. And similarly, IDC also did study a few other companies, 5 of those, and the payback was less than 5 months. And this time around, the average 3-year ROI was a staggering 272%. Again, this is definitely not, as you can imagine, this is definitely not coming from reduced infrastructure alone, is to be able to drive business impact on top of that. There's some of the key highlights from Forrester is the thing that I'd like you to point and take notice of is the avoided downtime loss, which is 3.8 million, right? And that really drives value from an infrastructure perspective. IT efficiency improvements, which is where, you know, Cloud4C and SNP really plays a huge role. Productivity gains, again, it's the tri-party that actually adds that value. And, you know, saving from SAP maintenance in terms of the overall cost to run, and the return on investment, as we talked about, is over 160%. What's also important to note is the net present value, which normally is good enough for a project to be positive. We're sitting at about 9.5 million, right? IDC, one thing that I'd like to draw your attention to in the IDC report is productivity gain, right? Productivity gain was 98%. What used to take their in-house IT team about 8.8 days to be able to deploy, run, and install SAP was brought down by an hour by using, you know, some of the techniques that Asim talked about earlier, which is about infrastructure as code and being able to automate some of the deployments with the SNP toolset, really drove that kind of productivity gain. And that means the IT team has so much bandwidth to do way more for business, to be able to serve your business with greater agility and greater productivity. And lastly, you know, this seems to be sustainability as a topic seems to be a top of mind issue for most our customers across various industries. Needless to say, sustainability is a boardroom topic today, and it's a KPI for most organizations today. We're very proud to say we are the largest procurement or purchaser of renewable source energy. We are already running on carbon neutral. By 2030, our goal is to be completely carbon free in every region that we run 24/7, right? Again, we not only add value from a business standpoint, we also ensure that we are the greenest cloud for you, and we also address your sustainability goals. So just to summarize, some of the key points, key takeaways, if I may call that, is definitely we are a better overall cloud platform when it comes to reliability, scalability, cost, partner ecosystem, and technical support expertise. Cutting edge technology, when you couple that with our AI ML capability with BQ, security with our widened backbone, and Google investing heavily in the security space, we really pioneered that space when it comes to cloud. Platform agility and cost flexibility. Again, we have a very unique way of doing commercials when it comes to CUDs, committed use discounts and reserved instances, seamless integrations to some of our Google solutions. And from a support point of view, we have a semi-collaboration support with SAP, Cloud4C, and SNP already. So you're in really good hands when you come with all three of us. Some of the largest logos that you see, like the Metros, the Colgate-Palmolives, the Remy's of the world, Herfy's, all of these customers today actually run their SAP on Google Cloud. And the key point here is not only do they run SAP on Google Cloud, they actually draw value more from the ecosystem of services that I talked about earlier. With that, I hand it over to Tariq. Over to you, Tariq.
Thank you very much, Krishna. And I think it's fabulously clear to me, at least, the absolute value that Google Cloud brings to the SAP landscape. So that was a great presentation. I really enjoyed that myself, actually. So thanks for that. So as you can see on the slide before, my name is Tariq Hussain. I'm going to give you just a quick overview of our company and what we do and the value we believe we deliver for customers around the SAP landscapes. And as Krishna said, we're very excited about this partnership. I think it's a meeting of minds that add real value to the customer journey. And as Krishna is pointing out quite clearly there, the fact that this is a journey and there's a lot of value to be had to get to where we want to get you to, and then go beyond that. So in simple terms about SNP, SNP is a software and services company with the emphasis on software. And if I was to make it sort of really simple, I would say that what we've done is we've taken a lot of tasks that were traditionally done manually by consultants, etc., and we've automated those. And that really sort of gives our customers a key value around the ability to execute SAP transformations quickly, securely, and with the least risk of many of the various ways that it could be done. We're not a new company. We were founded in 1994 in Heidelberg, not too far away from our good friends at SAP. Today, we're around 1,500 employees, 30 plus offices. We're a listed company on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. In Asia, I'd say we're a little bit newer, 2008. We've had teams of delivery capable people in the region for some time. But I think since the last few years, we started to establish a lot more of the sales and marketing offices. So the technical talent has been here. And recently we've been expanding the sales marketing team. But again, the key thing there is we've been doing SAP landscape transformations for quite a long time now. We are SAP certified. This is a very important part of our business. So we do, of course, work closely with them. We have recognized expertise in migration. The software platform itself is certified. So we use the likes of EY and PwC to actually audit our software-based approach to migrations. And we work, of course, with some of the largest partners in the world, the likes of IBM, Fujitsu. We are a partner-first organization. People like C4C and Google are critical to our success. So you'll see us in many, many opportunities working together seamlessly as a team. And Krishna said, we have worked together in the past. So I think that adds real advantage to many of our customers because they can see that we can all be completely open and honest with each other and make sure we give the value to the customer is expecting. I think the key takeaway, though, on this slide is experience and trust. If I was to give you a snapshot of where I think SNP lies in the SAP landscape, it's in the fact that we have delivered 12,500 projects to date. with zero errors in those projects. And that level of experience with some of the largest customers in the world, the likes of Siemens, Kellogg's, etc., that level of experience is really what we've built into the software. So we've automated a lot of the tasks, as I said, that were done traditionally manually, based on this level of experience. And I think if you're picking a partner to do a landscape transformation with SAP, and many of our customers have very old legacy SAP landscapes, the key thing you're going to look for is a partner that is trusted and a partner that has experience. And I think SNP above all excels in those two areas. I'll give you just a high-level view of our one single transformation platform. So it's a software platform that enables a number of business scenarios. And in fact, many of our customers are doing 1, 2, or even 3 or 4 of these scenarios at the same time, or are part of a journey for that customer. As Krishna says, the journey to S4 is one for some customers, but in some customers, the journey to S4 starts with a move to cloud. In our case, we can actually combine multiple projects, and we've moved multiple customers to cloud and to S4 in the same project, while at the same time doing things like modernizing their and harmonizing their data, carving out data where needed. So if you're a legacy customer and you maybe don't need X years worth of data to move to cloud, we can carve that out. So that really lowers your footprint moving to cloud and gives you a better TCO from your cloud provider. But in simple terms, one of the key aspects of our software platform, the module, is to move to S4. That's, of course, as Krishna and Asim said, everybody's got to do that. Again, I think you should pick the partner that's got the experience and the trust in that type of migration. We're seeing a lot of activity around the merger and carve out. Many of our customers are buying other entities or selling parts of their business, and they need to carve out selective amounts of data. Perhaps you've got mixed HR or mixed finance. These are the sort of areas where we see the merger and carve out part of our software very active. And we've got an assessment, and I think that's really important, because the assessment part of what we do is we take an X-ray of a machine, for want of a better word, and that gives us a very clear picture of what it looks like in state A, so that when we move you to B, which in this case could be the cloud and S4, we're very confident about how that move should look like, what it should look like, and the time it takes. We also have ability, of course, to things like test data, which enables you to sort out your data before these types of migrations. And another one that's coming more and more active is the interface scan, where we know a lot of our customers are sometimes challenged by getting what are the third-party accesses and how do I look at those. And for those of you that know SAP well, SAP will charge you if you have the third-party access, so it's actually critical. But the key scenario message here really is that all of these scenarios are available on a single platform from SNP. And really, that's part of the journey that Krishna talked about. We take a clear, careful look at your current landscape. We then transform accordingly. This again could just be a move to the cloud, or it could be a move to cloud and an S4. So 2 projects in one is very normal for us to do. We can then have such confidence in what we've seen from the assessment and our understanding of your landscape, which is a business discussion with you as a customer, that we almost all cases provide a fixed price proposal for that. In this case, of course, with Cloud4C and Google, this is a no CAPEX risk-free type migration. So it's basically something you don't have to even really worry too much about the proposal, because that's taken care of by Google and C4C and SNP. And then we migrate you. And I think the critical thing in this migration is the software automation allows you to perform this migration in rapid time. You're not waiting around for months and months and months, and in some cases, years. There's a lot of business benefits to using a software-based approach for these type of SAP landscape transformations. We can convert your landscape at any point of time. There's no dependency on the end of a financial year. I think for the cloud migration, what we get as an organization, some of the biggest questions we get from customers who again are typically hardware-based legacy mindset, to be candid to customers, is what does the cloud mean for me, and where is the cloud and how does it work? Our approach to migration to cloud is unique in the fact that we set up a separate landscape. We take an X-ray of your current system. We don't interfere with production at all. We set up that separate landscape in GCP, and then we can do all of the testing and making sure everything is perfect in that second landscape in GCP while your current on-premise production system is still running. So we do not at any point in time stop your running production system. Once your GCP infrastructure and everything is good and you're happy with all of the various deep level components that C4C bring to the table around compliance and security, etc., only then that we start looking at migrating data. And we migrate data in either a chunk of a year or a month, and we take the data as relevant for you as an organization. We can leave some behind. And important is that we can minimize the downtime. We're working with some customers who have got quotes for up to 7 days downtime that we've reduced down to 4 hours downtime in this migration. So minimal disruption. Once the data is in that system, and only when, again, we're happy with that, can you look at then turning off your on-premise production system and moving everything running to the cloud. And if for whatever reason, and this hasn't happened in the 12,500 projects we've done today, something went wrong, your on-premise production system is still there. So the key messages here is we minimize the risk to the cloud migration. Part of this, we, of course, rationalize and harmonize the data I talked about. And we're not the traditional approaches like you see from the traditional SIs. We're not a greenfield and we're not a brownfield. There is a load of benefits using our approach because it really is a transformation without re-implementation. You may have some custom code that makes perfect sense to your business today that you may have done 10 years ago. And you may have some custom code that makes no sense to the S4 environment or to your business today. So we don't re-implement, we transform, and we take what is relevant and useful for your business and we move that to the new S4 landscape in GCP. And as part of that process, again, we can retain certain amounts of data that is useful for you. If it's not, leave it behind. This lowers your GCP footprint and works towards that TCO that Krishna was talking about. So the key benefits, if I was going to sort of highlight them, projects that are typically 75% less time to implementation compared with the traditional manual-based approaches, so up to a 75% reduction. We typically combine projects. So we will move you to cloud and S4 in a single project, not 2 projects. That is leading again to this significant time saving. Data savings, as I said, we leave behind what is not relevant for your business. We get it all cleaned up. So there's a typical data saving TCO there. And overall project savings. You don't need all of the pre-projects you typically would need with the traditional based approaches. I think some of the technical benefits as well, as I mentioned, we have a minimal risk approach because your on-premise production system is there. We never touch that. You can leave it running if you want in the background once you're on GCP. We have a very flexible technical approach which allows us as C4C and Google and SNP to work with the business and to make this migration happen in conjunction with the business. So it's a technical benefit, but it actually works as a flexible business approach for our customers. And as I said, we combine multiple projects into one, and we significantly reduce technical effort on time. We can get you to that TCO saving that Krishna was talking about more rapidly than any other traditional approach in the marketplace today. I'll give you a couple of examples of where I think this has been, very successful. A great example, I'm currently in lockdown in Australia, if you can see the light fading behind me. This is a customer here in Australia, Coles, a large supermarket chain. I think it's the biggest actually in Australia, if not the second biggest. And critical here is that we reduced their data footprint from 2.3 terabytes down into 900 gigs, so an immediate saving in data. We completed this project in 5 months. This was a migration to S4 and the cloud. So to S4 and the cloud in 5 months. Most of our competitors can't even get an assessment done in 5 months, certainly couldn't move you to the cloud in 5 months, let alone moving you to the cloud and S4 and reducing your footprint. And I think my favorite quote from any of our customers is Mr. Roger here, who basically says that our SNP approach seemingly does the impossible. And I think we love that, and we believe we can do the impossible. And in this case, is a case in point. Customer a little bit closer to home for me as an Asia director is Inventure. More critical for them was downtime. It's important to have uptime once you're onto the cloud, but getting you to the cloud with the least downtime is also important. So these guys were happy with a 20-hour downtime. We have typical projects that go 4, 5, 6 hours downtime. If you can bear more, of course, we can do that. But again, the critical fact here is we moved them to cloud and to S4 with 24 hours downtime in 5 months. So an entire triple project, if you like, in a time frame that, again, is surpassing anyone else. And another one, ABM. This is a little bit more downtime, but again, move to S4 and a move to cloud in 6 months. Traditional approaches are typically taking 18, 24 months. And in some cases, 12 months for just one of these components, such as move the cloud, another 12 months to move to S4 or longer. We've seen S4 moves up to 5 years for some quotes that we've seen people get. We specialize in getting you to GCP, getting you there in the fastest time with the least risk and with the maximum ROI you could ask for. And one last one before I hand back. Our friends at Kellogg's, just to sort of show the scale of organizations we can work with. We got these guys down to 4 hours downtime, and again, completed a cloud migration with 4 hours downtime in 6 months. They didn't go to S4 in this example, but certainly when you look at the footprint that Kellogg's had, it was significantly more than your standard customers. If you can imagine the amount of operations and plants and entities that Kellogg's have. Again, this was done in 6 months. Typically 18 months would be a traditional SI non-software based approach.
While you've heard the whole value proposition and why Google Cloud Platform and why SNP, I think now it's my turn to really quickly take you through the whole transformation journey and how we make it look easier, make more cost effective, make more risk free as a team, as a package in a fixed price, fixed scope, fixed timeline manner. The solution is called SAP Switch to Cloud. You'll hear a lot about it as we proceed and as we continue to talk about it and ensure consistency in terms of messaging in the market as well. It's as a service kind of an approach, which is based on no CAPEX. So you can move your S/4HANA on Google Cloud Platform by just paying a monthly fixed fee. We deliver it predominantly offshore. We try to keep it simple, especially in the COVID times. Offshore is becoming even more relevant. And you continue to leverage the global pool of resources that we have in the 3 organizations, 24/7, following the round, following the sun approach. It's risk-free. Google Cloud Platform is obviously, one of the state-of-the-art cloud platforms, which allows a extremely higher SLAs in terms of uptimes and other features and benefits which Krishna talked about. The SNP tool is another very, very established and an accomplished product in the market in order to run your data transformation from ECC to S4. You can combine all the kind of projects like an upgrade, migration, Unicode conversion, etc. in one single downtime window. And you can have a pretty much accurate assessment of your downtime way ahead of time, so that you don't have to come up with surprises at the last minute when we get into the production timelines. How we do this, that was the package. And how we do this, I've got a couple of slides to give you a brief idea of how we do this. We call this as an SAP automation factory, and the whole idea really is to accelerate the journey of S4 in the shortest time frame and in the most cost effective time frame. Leveraging this particular toolkit that you see, the primary one being SNP, and there are the likes of others which are required in terms of orchestrating the whole migration process. We tend to pass on the automation dividend to our customers in terms of cost, efficiency, innovation, and risk. We provide a complete life cycle. This tool set supports the complete life cycles of upgrade, migration to S4, migration to cloud, even testing and operations. So some of the regression testing scenarios are automated in our factory. Some of the post-migration steps like data reconciliation is automated in our factory. Some of the migration specific steps apart from data transformation, which obviously SNP takes care of that completely. Some of the code remediation activities are automated in our factory. And all this is supported by a shared services delivery factory model, which has standardized processes and kind of quality checks and quality gates, which ensures no surprises in terms of quality. Plus, it ensures optimal utilization of resources in terms of delivering a particular outcome to the customers, which is what we really want. So this is the automation factory. And the other platform that we use is the whole ITSM intelligent operations platform. There's a new word which will come out and which we will market going forward. This is basically the platform to run the managed services show on Google Cloud Platform. So on the Google Cloud Platform, we've built this technology, which is our automation platform, which allows us to completely manage your applications, predominantly SAP applications, but also non-SAP applications by really automating the operation tasks right from infrastructure post provisioning, monitoring, dashboarding, reporting, patching the SAP systems, uh, and other basis related activities which are very commonly used on a day-to-day basis. 80% of the activities are automated, which allows us to reduce the number of resources being, managing SAP operations, and really allows you to take benefit of the cost and the quality of the service. This is the package at a high level. Switch to cloud. Again, I keep on repeating this word. I like this approach really, really very much. And it's important that we really take a holistic view and give you an outcome based service. It's comprising of three categories. The down below, you see the automated SAP managed services, which is built on Google Cloud Platform. We can take the SAP private cloud route or the partner managed cloud route in terms of deal execution. We can talk about that offline. Uh, we top it up with an application management services, which is basically ensuring that we don't only provide you a technical and a basis management support, but we also focus on continuous improvement and bringing the industry and the domain experts by really providing them, the incident management and the ITIL framework on top of it based on functions and business processes. This model could be based on staff augmentation, co-sourcing, shared services, or completely outsourced. We are extremely flexible to discuss with our customers of how they want to engage in the application management services. And right on top is the advisory and the implementation services, which is typically lines of businesses that SAP Solutions offers, like S/4HANA, supply chain, finance, procurement, some of the key ones. Obviously, the focus remains S/4HANA as it's the central core to the entire SAP portfolio, and that's where the strength of SNP really takes that pain away from really offering a seamless migration path. We are present across all industries. Some of the key industries where we have certain success stories are mentioned on the right. So we believe this is the fastest, safest, and the most cost-effective path. You can try it out. You can compare our offering with the incumbents in the market, and I'm reasonably confident that you will see the lowest TCO coming out of this particular package because of the way we have built it. So the three elements that we talked about, I'll just briefly, expand these three elements. The first one is the automated managed services, where we do all kinds of infrastructure. Of course, mostly the focus is really on Google, but we also cover other infrastructures, even on-premise infrastructures, and create a cloud management platform to really provide a hybrid cloud of a scenario. Security and compliance, I think we've talked about that a lot. We cover all sorts of SAP solutions, right from business by design, B1, S4HANA, other SAP solution extensions. There are a lot of solution extensions which goes into SAP portfolio, which are non-SAP solutions. We've got a center of excellence particularly focused on that, which ensures that the likes of OpenText and other solutions are also well managed. The services included are infrastructure managed services, SAP operations, and an SLA of 99.9% at an application layer, which is a very unique SLA when you compare the incumbents and the competition that we have. Generally, it would stick to 99.7. We are at a stage, because of the investments in the automation space, we are at a stage to offer 99.9 at an application layer. The next building block of the switch to cloud package is the application management services. Again, I've talked about this, but very briefly, we follow the ITIL methodology, where we not only do the incident management, problem management, change management kind of scenarios, we also cover the business improvement side of the things, the IT operations improvement kind of things. And this whole process is kind of governed by our solution architects who would work with the change managers assigned in the AMS project and continue to guide the customers towards their transformation journey. And then we have the extended managed services, which are very specific areas of application security, IT operations, and business improvement services. This is a unique AMS offering, which is aligned to SAP's methodology of AMS. So we are also working towards a closely working with SAP in terms of becoming an AMS partner in that space as well. So we'll talk about that when the time comes. And the last building block is the advisory and the implementation management services. This is exactly a typical professional services approach, whereas in the market you would see system integrators would take a kind of a one-time contract kind of an approach where they offer these professional services, whereas in our model these services are bundled into the managed services offering, which does not allow you to shell out anything in the beginning. Plus the fact that we have got 500 consultants in India, based out of our headquarters in Hyderabad, and we have a local pre-sales, delivery, and sales presence in all the 25 countries that we showed you in the beginning of the slide. So collectively, we try to offer you a switch to cloud package, where we take care of the entire pain points and give you a unified, highest SLA based and the lowest cost based solution powered by Google Cloud Platform and SNP. I don't think it can get better than this. Some of the world's largest businesses are mentioned over here, which are our customers. I don't want to name them right now. I mean, you can see it on the screen, and I think that's where I'd like to finish my presentation by just saying that so you only pay for what you use, and we really mean it. You can try us out, and we will be happy to, prove this point to you that you only pay for what you use.